catching up now with Darren Ward from CBM. Morning, Darren. How are you?
Very good, George. Very good. Good to hear you back.
Now, you'll be still have a bit of a grin on your face from Monday. I was a little bit disappointed because I was backing Argentina, but Germany, it seems, the Football World Cup is theirs.
Well, that's right, Andrew. We can't all back a winner, but, better luck next time, mate.
Yeah.
A great win by a great team. I think it was a good example of where a great team beat a team of individuals.
Yeah, there we go. I just thought it was a lucky bounce in the final minutes of what was a much closer game. But anyway,
Yes.
Moving on from that one. In terms of Millennium Development Goals, now this is something you and I have talked about a lot over the years, but we're coming to the end of the Millennium Development Goal period, and I know there's a move within the UN to replace those with Sustainable Development Goals. Apparently these have got a longer shelf life.
Well, apparently, yeah. They're coming up with the next set of goals. As you know, the Millennium Development Goals were introduced in 2000 and ran through to 2015. Of course, we can't call them Millennium 2 or anything like that, so they've come up with Sustainable was the name for the next set of goals, which will run through to 2030. And it's getting to crunch time on these goals. And, we often look at things that happen at the UN and go, do they really make any difference? But if we look across the Millennium Development Goals, they have achieved some things. But really, from our point of view at CBM, they haven't achieved the promise that they set out to deliver. And one of the big reasons for that is that people with disabilities were not specifically included in any of the Millennium Development Goals and the measures or the targets that were part of each of those 8 goals. And when we come around to defining the Sustainable Development Goals, if we don't include people with disabilities, we're going to end up disappointed again in 2030, and we can't afford to do that.
So what are these Sustainable Development Goals likely to include?
At the moment, that is a very good question. The latest draft that has come out has gone from 8 goals with the Millennium Development Goals to 17 goals with the Sustainable Development Goals, and we all know that's far too many things.
Doesn't sound that sustainable, really, does it?
No, it doesn't really, but really what these are aiming to do is to address things like eliminating extreme poverty, making sure that we are addressing the resilience of communities to things like climate change, that we're giving everybody in the world the chance to succeed and to live a good life. And hey, guys, that's possible.
Now, broadly, my understanding of it is the key word being sustainable. Let's create systems where people in the poorest parts of the world can create sustainable systems where they begin to support themselves rather than being constantly dependent on charity.
That's exactly it, and that's one of the big things that we're looking for, and that's why we talk these days about development rather than talking about aid. And development is all about creating communities where people can determine their own futures, where people can take control of their own future, and that means that they need systems in place, and they need an economy in place, and they need the education and health programs in place where they can do that. And one of the key things is if we want to see that for everybody, we've got to include the 15 to 20% of the world that are living with disabilities, because, as we've talked about on the show so many times, they are the ones that make up a disproportionate amount of those right at the bottom of the curve. So we're really pushing hard globally. We're at the UN pushing. We're pushing hard with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here in New Zealand, and promoting inclusion of people with disabilities in that. And we're getting some traction with it, but it's coming to a nub now where it's the politicians are going to take over this process. And I don't know about you guys, but any time a top politician takes over a process, I get a bit worried. And we need to keep disability right in front of them. So we talked a couple of months ago about our Face Up campaign, and that's been out there. That's been getting some great traction, people facing up for people living with disabilities in the world's poorest countries, particularly children. But what we want people to do is we want people to put their face up to say, hey, it's really, really important that when these goals are redefined, and this starts off in September at the United Nations General Assembly, when these goals are redefined, people with disabilities must be included. So we want Kiwis to stick their face up on the Face Up for CBM website and say, New Zealand government, United Nations, this stuff is critical. You can't develop these goals and exclude people with disabilities, because otherwise we're not going to eradicate extreme poverty. We're not going to have it where everybody in the world has the opportunity to live a full life. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not satisfied sitting by and letting that happen, and we reckon the Kiwis aren't either. So we'd love them to stick their face up. And the good news is, if they want to put their face up and just make a statement, they can do that for free. but they're also welcome to make a donation to CBM through the platform as well.
So that website is faceup4cbm.com, faceup, the number 4cbm.com. Darren Ward from CBM, thanks so much for joining us. Catch you again next time.
Thanks, guys. You have a great week.